All right, there we go. All right, so welcome guys to our weekly industry update. Please, if you have questions or anything, please come off mute. You guys can ask your questions. We wanted to be as interactive as we possibly can. Because this is for you guys. This is for you guys to understand what's going on in the market. And if you do have questions, then let me know. Or you can type them into the chat, and then I can read them for you guys. So again, welcome to our weekly industry update. We are going to go over our top four counties, which are Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino, and Riverside County. We're going to go over this market stats and what's going on. You guys know, first and foremost, BTCPA compliant when you're out there talking to people on the phones, right? You got to be careful because if their numbers on the do not call list, you can absolutely get a fine for calling them. So you do have to respect the do not call registry. Back in the day, it was like not a big deal, but now it is. So do not, pay attention. Do not get fined. And all of your lists that you're getting, if you're getting it from a reputable source anywhere in our office, or they do have it says DNC and there's normally a Y. If there's a Y there, that means yes, they're on that number is on the do not call list. Don't call it. Now that same person may have multiple numbers associated with them, and all those numbers may not be on the do not call list, and then you can call them. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right, let's start for Los Angeles County. Again, happy belated Easter. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful, wonderful Easter. Church for me was awesome. It was my first time back at church in weeks because of the surgery. So I was so full. It was so wonderful to be there. All right, so for sale properties in Los Angeles County. We are up 5.5% as compared to last month. Now, for sale properties are properties that are active on the market, okay? And so as compared to last month, we've got 5.5% more properties active on the market than we did last month. We've got 3.6% less than we did last year, okay? Sold properties that have closed escrow, we've got 24.6% more properties that have closed as compared to last month. Now, keep in mind, we are only comparing April 1st through the 4th to March 1st through the 4th. You guys see that? These two columns here. So I go week by week, right? So, last week, I think Monday and Tuesday, or at least Monday, was the end of the month. And so Tuesday started the beginning of the month, April. And then this particular search shuts off on the 4th, which is Saturday. Okay. So this is only for the month to month comparison. This is only a short period of time, the first 5 days, first, second, third, fourth, first 4 days of the month, right? All right. But the year over year comparison basically is comparing our first quarter, right? So we're looking at how are we doing as a market in the Los Angeles County area for the first quarter. So when you look at sold properties, we're behind 5.1% as compared to last year. Okay. Because we're closing 5.1% less units than we did last year in LA County. Okay. Pendants are down 29.4% as compared to last month. Okay. And down 0.4% as compared to last year. So the pendants are that margin is really small. Hopefully we can rebound from that. Obviously we're hoping we can rebound from all of this, right? Because we were, as the predictions went as of last year, we were going to be doing about, 250,000 more units than we did, and that's nationwide, than we did last year. However, because of the war and everything that's been going on in our economy right now, it really has slowed things down. It has slowed buyer confidence down. Sellers are sitting right now because interest rates went up a little bit, and so that really has impacted us, right? So now we're seeing our numbers be below and lagging behind what we originally had anticipated for our market. All right. New listings are down 43.4% as compared to last month, and down 10% as compared to last year. So not a lot of new listings coming on the market in LA County. Average active price is down 0.3% as compared to last month and down 7.1% as compared to last year in LA County. So what this is saying is that on average, sellers are asking 7.1% less than they did last year. Okay. Everybody understand that? Sellers are asking 7.1% less than they did last year. However, if you look at this number, although they're asking 7.1% less, they're receiving 4.5% less. So the margin is not as big, right? As what they're asking. So they're receiving 4.5% less. But let's keep in mind, you guys as realtors have the most impact over that number. Okay. You guys can absolutely help your sellers to price their property right so that they're, and I'm sorry, this particular average sold price receiving 4.5% less than they did last year. There's probably very little you could do about that, right? Because the market itself is just not producing what it was last year. Okay, that's the bottom line here. I'm skipping ahead on average sold price, but we'll get to that. But yeah, this number right here, you just need to be able to be hyper local so that when you're showing your sellers like the comps and everything, you need to be able to tell your seller, like, hey, in this market, this is what's going on as compared to last year. Because last year they could be thinking, like, oh, I was supposed to get X. And you're like, no, no, no. The market has actually shifted a bit, right? And here are the comparables. And so you have to we always have to do this. We have to bring our sellers up to reality. Right? We have to help them to step into the new reality, whatever that reality is. And right now in LA County, they're receiving 4.5% less than they did last year. Okay. All right, months of inventory is down 13.3% as compared to last month. So last month, first 4 days of the month, they were at 3.8 months of inventory, and now we're at 3.3 months of inventory. Overall in LA County, it's a 2.6% increase. So last year we were at 3.8 months of inventory, currently 3.9 months of inventory. What does that mean? That means that 4 months of inventory puts us into a normal market, okay? Currently, right here, we're knocking at the door of a normal market, but we are still in somewhat of a seller's market. Although, quite frankly, it doesn't feel like that to most sellers because a lot of sellers are still staying on the market longer than what they would have a year or two ago. Okay. And so they're probably not feeling like they're in a seller's market. And yet, that's where we're hyper local because maybe in your particular neighborhood where you've got that listing, it's not a seller's market. It's not a seller's market. It could be a buyer's market, or you could be in a neutral market, and you've got to be able to help your seller with understanding the numbers. Okay. That's why pricing strategy is so important right now. When you're in a shifting market, pricing strategy is so important to understand how to price a property. All right, average days on market is down 16.7%. So we were at 42 days on market last month. We're at 35 days on market currently. Overall, a 12.5% increase. We were at 40 days on market last year, currently 45 days on market. So that's how long it's taking to get into escrow, 45 days on market, right? Now, you guys know, obviously, there's a lot built into that. That takes into consideration counters and all of that, right? All right. Sold versus original list price, 2.1% increase as compared to last month. Last month, we were at 97% of list price. Currently, sellers are receiving 99% of their list price these first 4 days, right? All right. Overall, a 2% decrease. Sellers were receiving 98% of their list price. Currently, sellers are receiving 96% of their list price. Okay. All right. That is it for Orange County. Let's look at the chat. Could the current events lead us into a recession? Yes. I mean, to be frank, yes, absolutely they could. But that's, I think that's something that you have to keep your eye on. A lot of things can lead you into a recession. To be honest with you, if inflation were to go up for I think it's 3 or 4 months in a row, that indicates a recession. That happened last year. We were officially in a small recession. And so, yeah, the current, conditions of the war and things like that, with inflation rising, that could absolutely lead us into a recession. But again, I wouldn't focus on that. Again, the focus on you got to focus on the things that are going to um, help you in terms of helping your client right now, right? And helping your client right now has to do with if they're in a stable job environment, then and they need a place to live, then buying is always going to be a very good option for them, right? And if they're a seller who needs to sell, that's why right now it's called find the motivated, right? It's find the people who need to do some business. Everybody is not in a position where they need to do some business right now, right? And if your clients are worried about, a recession, or if you're even getting those questions, and I actually haven't gotten that question at all. But at the same time, I like where your head is at, Santiago, because it's good to just know up front, so that if you do get that question, you're prepared. Let's see. The stock market lost trillions of dollars. Yes, I'm sure it did. I can't imagine. I don't follow the stock market too much, so I don't really have much to say about the stock market. Does anybody else want to chime in on that? Because I really don't follow the stock market. I follow the housing market. I really don't follow the stock market too much. All right. So Orange County. We'll head into Orange County. Orange County for sale properties up 7.4% as compared to last month, first 4 days, and down 11.4% as compared to last year. Okay, that is for sale properties that are active on the market. Sold properties have gone down 2.9% as compared to last month, and down 4.4% as compared to last year. So not a big margin, similar to LA County, right? All three numbers, all sales trends are in the negative. However, not big margins. Pendants are down 35.2% as compared to last month, and down 1.1% as compared to last year. Okay. So we're definitely in LA and Orange County lagging behind last year's market. Okay. New listings are down 51.6% as compared to last month, and down 11.8% as compared to last year. Okay. So not as much new listing inventory, new developments as we've had in the past. Last year, year before last, we had more new listing inventory. We had more existing inventory coming on the market. It looks like things have definitely slowed down in terms of inventory coming on the market. It has a lot to do, I believe, with the interest rates being a little bit higher. And remember, a lot of sellers have been sitting on their 3% homes, right? Their mortgages that are 3%. And those sellers would like to buy something else, but at the same time, they don't want to give up their 3% interest rates, right? So that's a dilemma that they're dealing with right now. And unfortunately, with the interest rates going back up into the mid sixes, that's caused them to not take that leap. Whereas we were seeing more of them come on the market when we had sub six interest rates a few months ago, right? A couple months ago. And now that's gone away. But it's possible that it can come back depending on what happens, right? With the war and how that's impacting our economy. All right. So average active price is up 2.1% as compared to last month. And average active price is down 3.4% as compared to last year. So on average in Orange County, sellers are asking 3.4% less than they did last year. However, they're receiving 2.2% higher than they did last year. Now, unlike LA County, Orange County is in a severe inventory shortage, right? They are definitely in a seller's market, and you will see that, which is why more than likely their sold price is going up, not down. Okay. There's still two months of inventory, and you guys will see that in a second. But I want to correlate that because I want you guys to see why these numbers make more sense in terms of why is their average sold price not going down, right? Just like LA County. But they're asking for 3.4% less, but receiving 2.2% more. And more than likely, the cause of that is because there's still more competition in Orange County than there is in LA because there's less inventory. And quite frankly, Orange County always has pretty decent demand, right? Because of the area. And not all areas of Orange County, but there's more desirable areas, and Orange County obviously is smaller. Months of inventory, 18.6% higher than it was last month. Last month we were at 2.1 months of inventory. See what I'm talking about, right? And then this month, currently, first 4 days, 2.5 months of inventory. Overall, a 7.3% decrease as compared to last month. So last month we were sitting at 2.7 months of inventory. Currently, 2.5 months of inventory. I'm sorry, last year we were at 2.7 months of inventory. Currently, this year, first quarter, 2.5 months of inventory. So you guys can see we are in a seller's market in Orange County. Okay. Let's see what we got in the chat. I feel like the news media should focus on what's happening in the housing markets, and people focused on it right now. Maybe they should interviews with top agents or have a special segment on it. Yeah, I agree, Santiago.
Hey Charity, this is Robert.
Even then,
You
when
good? I was checking to see if Courtney Allen checked in.
let's mute people.
Oh,
If you
perfect. Thank you.
guys, there we go. Here. Um, all right. Yeah, what happens in the news though is that even when they do an interview, right, they're gonna spin it to create fear. They're gonna spin it to create a story. So if it's not sexy and it doesn't like give them a bunch of sound bites, it's normally not going to be the true story, right? So, but I love your ideas, and those are interviews that maybe you can do, right? You can do some interviews with with agents. You can interview yourself and do a piece on what's going on in the market and give the reality. That's exactly what you could be creating your videos on, right? That's a great idea. All right. All right, average days on market, 23.7% decrease over last month. Last month we were at 38 days on market, currently 29 days on market, and a 17.6% increase over last year. Last year we were sitting at 34 days on market, currently 40 days on market. Okay, so it has gone up. Sold versus original list price has gone up 4.2% as compared to last month. Last month we were at 95% of list price. These first 4 days of the month, we're at 99% of list price. Sellers are receiving 99% of their list price. Okay, that's good. We'll see how that holds up. Currently, a 1% decrease over last year. So last year, sellers are receiving 97% of list price. Currently, 96% of their list price. And we have a huge impact on this number. This is how we help our sellers to get 100% of their list price. It has to deal with your pricing strategy, right? And sometimes I know, guys, we cannot convince them to take our advice and sell it for whatever it is we're telling them to sell it for. However, we absolutely have to give them the data so that they are equipped with the real deal, not with just their pie in the sky, what they think they ought to get because they put their blood, sweat, and tears into the house, right? We got to be able to give them what's really going on with that house and what the real comparables say. And we have to price ahead of the market, not behind the market. Okay. And what I mean by that is you can't be looking at just the solds. You've got to look at the actives and the pendings because the actives are their direct competition. I just had to have this conversation with my seller because sold suggests that it should be $950 million. And yet I got two listings that are model matches to theirs on the market for $856. And two of them at like 850 and 856. And I was like, you guys, this is the competition. What's the difference between you and them? You're going to go on at 950. You're just going to help sell these other two, right? So we really have to, you really have to be pricing ahead of the market and know what's going on in that area. All right, let's go to Riverside County. Riverside County for sale properties has gone up 3.3% as compared to last month and is down 9% as compared to last year. So again, in all counties, we are lagging behind on inventory for sale properties. Sold properties are down 13.9% as compared to last month and down 6.3% as compared to last year. So all of us are in that 4 to 6.5% behind last year's market on sold properties, right? How many closings we've had. Pendants are down 18% as compared to last month. However, in Tri-County, we're actually up 2.8% as compared to last year. New listing inventory is down 35.2% as compared to last month and down 13.7% as compared to last year. So again, we are seeing not as much new listing inventory come on the market as we did last year. So not enough or not as much new development, right? And we actually expect to see that more in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and yet it's still lagging behind last year's numbers. All right, average active price has gone down 0.6%, so not very much, not even 1%, but 0.6% as compared to last month and down 1.7% as compared to last year. So on average, in Riverside County, sellers are asking 1.7% less than they did last year. However, you can see here, they're receiving 1.2% less than they did last year, okay? So not a big number. We would call this a fairly flat market. Prices are pretty flat, but it is just 1.2% less. So you got to be hyper local because in some areas, you obviously, this is not true. They're selling for 4% higher. And in some areas, it's probably selling for 4% lower. So you got to really be hyper local. When you're looking at a neighborhood, you guys, we're looking at a mile, right? Around radius around that area. Okay, that's what you're looking at for comparable. Okay. Months of inventory. All right, months of inventory for Riverside County is up 23.4% as compared to last month. Last month we were at 3.4 months of inventory, currently 4.2 months of inventory. Yeah, my fingers are totally off on that, huh? And then 2.5% decrease over last year. Last year, we were at 4 months of inventory, currently 3.9 months of inventory. So in Riverside County, we are very close to a neutral market or a normal market, okay? All right. Average days on market is 1.9% higher than it was last month. Last month, we're at 53 days on market, currently 54 days on market, an 11.5% increase as compared to last year. So last year, we're at 52 days on market, currently 58 days on market, okay? So don't get it twisted. Just because you see that the average days on market is 58 days on market, trust and believe that in some areas, it is not 58 days. And in some areas, it's longer. You have got to look at the numbers for your specific area. If you're in a high demand area, you've got a beautiful property on the market, it should go fairly quickly. That's just the way it goes, okay? So always as buyer's agents, and listing agents, but always have a sense of urgency about getting your buyers into a property that they want to see. Right? Don't think, oh, you guys, we've got time. We can wait for the weekend or whatever. Now, if you have to wait for the weekend, wait for the weekend. But as a rule of thumb, if you can get them out there sooner, do it. Because it never fails that the moment that your buyer sees it, then of course the agent is like, oh my God, I just got another offer last night. Really? So don't fall for the okie doke, as I say. All right, here, what we got in the chat? Southgate is in a seller's market right now. There are homes right now sitting on the market for months. There's only one house that is $1 million. It's a duplex, and the house in the back is for sale. So if they're in a seller's market, then that means that the house actually shouldn't be sitting on the market, right? So if you're telling me that it's a seller's market means that the houses are normally flying off the market, right? So typically in a seller's market, you have fewer days on market, excuse me, guys, and properties are normally selling pretty quickly, and there's more than likely competition, so multiple offers, right? That's a seller's market. The seller, what we imply by a seller's market is the seller has the leverage, right? In a buyer's market, the buyer has the leverage. There are a lot of properties on the market. The buyer has choices. They're able to ask for concessions. That's a buyer's market, okay? And a neutral market means that buyer and seller demand and supply are pretty much in alignment, okay? So you got a property on the market, you've got a buyer for it, right? A seller has one buyer. There's not like multiple offers and all that kind of stuff, right? That's kind of the just in a nutshell. Those are the how you would define those different phases of the market, right? And they swing in a pendulum, right? You've got buyer's market, neutral market, seller's market, neutral market, buyer's market. They just swing, right? And they typically stay in these different phases anywhere from 4 to 5 years at a time. Although we have been in a seller's market for even longer. I think it's been 6 or 7 years now. Okay. And now the market is swinging, it's moving. All right. Average days on market. Did I go over this? I think so. Sold versus original list price, no change. 96% of list price. Sellers are receiving 96% of list price last month and so far this month. And a 1% decrease as compared to last year. So last year they're receiving 96% of list price in Riverside County, currently receiving 95% of list price in Riverside County. So again, your pricing strategy has a big to do about this, right? Sold versus original list price. How are you going to help your seller get 100% of their list price? Price it right. All right. All right, let's go. We're on to our last county of the day, San Bernardino County. For sale properties is up 6.4% as compared to last month and down 11.4% as compared to last year. Sold properties are down 13.5% as compared to last month and down 3% as compared to last year. So again, not a big number, but still lagging. As in all counties, we're lagging behind last year's market so far. Pendants are down 35.7% as compared to last month and down only 0.7% as compared to last year. I'm sorry, and up 0.7%. I'm so used to saying it's down, right? But we're up 0.7% as compared to last year. So that's a good sign. All right, new listing inventory is down 34.5% as compared to last month and down 10.8% as compared to last year. New listing inventory, so we're lagging behind last year's market on new developments coming to the market to the tune of 10.8%. Average active price has gone up 1.3% as compared to last month and yet down 2.1% as compared to last year. So on average, sellers are asking 2.1% less than they did last year in San Bernardino County, and they're receiving 1.9% less than they did last year. Okay, so a very small margin of change. But still, they are receiving 1.9% less than they did last year. Again, fairly flat market in San Bernardino County. Months of inventory has gone up 27.2% as compared to last month and down 8.7% as compared to last year. So last year we were at 4.6 months of inventory. Currently 4.2 months of inventory. So San Bernardino County is the only market, only county that is actually posting numbers where we are actually in a normal market. Okay. So San Bernardino County, the only county that's posting that we're in a normal market. However, remember, you got to look at your area because your specific area could be further along in this path, right? Of a normal market, or maybe it's in a buyer's market, or you could still be in a seller's market depending on inventory levels, right? Okay. Average days on market, 13.6% higher than it was last month. Last month we're at 59 days on market, currently 67 days on market, and a 20.4% increase as compared to last year. So last year we're at 49 days on market. Currently we're at 59 days on market. No difference in terms of sold versus original list price, 96%. This is the same as Riverside County. And then I believe this is the same as well. Sellers are receiving 1% less than they did last year. Last year, we were sitting at 97% of list price, currently 96% of list price. Okay, so that is it for our four markets and our industry update. Let's talk about our upcoming events for the month. Let me see what we got. To clarify, it's usually the area of Hollydale and Southgate, homes near the park that sell quicker. Oh, that makes sense. Homes near the park. So basically more desirable areas. That makes sense. All right, so here we go. You guys are at the industry market update. Thank you for being here on your Monday. I love it. You're learning more about the market. We've got group coaching. And just to see you guys, we've got a jam-packed, look at that. We got a jam-packed week this week. So make sure that you're planning your calendar accordingly. We got conversations and role play tomorrow with Diana. We've got Dial for Dollars on Tuesday, April 7th with Victor at 2:00. Make sure you are there. He is always dropping knowledge and gems and just really good information to help you to get a deal. And that's the name of the game. So we are dialing for dollars on Tuesday. We have got our tech workshop with Martha on Wednesday from 1 to 2. And then we've got productivity training with Diana, our productivity coach, and that's going to be at the 8th. And this is part 4 of the real estate one-on-one, working with buyer transaction basics. Okay, so that's in office and on Zoom, but be here, right? It's much better when you are here in house, and that's from 2 to 3:30, and that's on Wednesday. Okay. Let me see. Did I miss a class? I feel like I missed a class. No, we do have regional tech training, just so you guys know, that we do have AI inside of Command, and that's going to be at 3:00 on Tuesday. Okay. All right. And then we've got broker hour on Wednesday and Thursday with Ed at 10 a.m. Okay. And that's on Zoom only. And you know, he's going over the contracts. And so this week he is going over, on Thursday, he's going over the California purchase agreement. On Wednesday, he's doing part 1 at 10 a.m. And on Thursday, he's doing part 2. If you are a newer agent, these are mandatory. Mandatory. 10 a.m. And if you're an agent who's never done a deal, this is mandatory. You need to be here. And what I would suggest is that you print out a copy of the purchase agreement. Okay. If you don't have access, just ask myself or Diana. We'll print a copy for you. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to just print some. I'm going to have Monica. I'm going to send her a copy. She'll go ahead and print it out. Get it from the front desk. Okay. Pick it up before Wednesday. That way you can mark it up and you can follow along with him while you're doing it. Okay. All right. All right, then we've got role play and rapid fire with Eileen on Thursday on Zoom at 9 a.m. And on April 9th at 1 p.m., we've got the real estate financial blueprint with Frank Jimenez. It's going to be talking about finances, basic cash flow, corporate formation. So if you're thinking about getting an LLC or anything, your tax planning, it's a great time for that, right? Tax day is April 15th. All right. Then we've got on Friday, guys. I think it's Friday. Isn't it Friday? Is April 10th Friday? I think it is. It's either Thursday or Friday. The gas lamp dance night. My hip ain't quite ready yet for the dancing, but I definitely love to dance. So I can't wait. But it was fun. A few of us went last year. But gas lamp dance night with our Huntington Beach family. So music, cocktails, 8 to 11. You guys need to RSVP so that we save the area. But definitely you guys want to hang out and have a good time. This is it. It's going to be in Long Beach on PCH. So come have a good time with us. RSVP at the front desk. All right. You guys know, work hard, play hard. We have a good time together. Friday. Thank you, Santiago. All right. That's Friday. We're going to get our groove on Friday night, guys. All right. And then we've got Ignite. Ignite is our flagship training for new agents primarily. And it's on Tuesdays at 6:30. Okay. For our West Coast folks, here's the QR code. Everybody, you guys, if you guys are dual career and you can't get to stuff during the day, this is a great alternative. This is a great way for you to participate every single week. Okay. And then don't forget about the Airbnb referral program. All right. You can get referrals based on that. Okay. It's mreanotes.com/Airbnb. Okay. All right. Then the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast, I listened to most of it this morning on my way here. It was really good. Now it does talk about building teams. So if it's not something that you're interested in terms of building a team, then maybe this is not the one for you. But if you are a team leader or you aspire to be a team leader, this is a great podcast for you. Okay. And then the One Thing podcast, and I love the One Thing podcast, how billionaires set goals. And this is a deep dive into the 411. This is something that I think I'm actually going to teach. The 411. The 411 is our way to manage your time. It's a time management tool. And it's managing towards your goals. So it's 411 stands for, and it's backwards. It's like your one goal for the year, 1 year, and then 1 month that then breaks down into 4 weeks, right? So 411. 4 weeks rolls up into 1 month, and 1 month times 12 rolls up into your 1 year. Okay. So that's the 411. And they're going to be talking about how billionaires set their goals and how you use the 411 as a tool. Okay. So I love that. Listen to the One Thing podcast. Mega Camp is coming. It is August 17th through the 20th. They've got the early bird pricing going on right now. It's going to end at the end of this month on 4/29. But a great opportunity if you want to network and learn more about how mega agents are doing business and things that are working for them. This is a great opportunity to learn. It's kind of a mini family reunion, okay? And it's highly focused on production, right? Whereas Family Reunion has a lot of different tracks you could take. All of them are to get you into production, don't get me wrong. However, Mega Camp is really focused on production and the steps to take and networking with other agents who are doing it or aspiring, and so really it puts you in cohorts, and you guys kind of take these things together, you mastermind. So Mega Camp is a little bit more intimate. Okay. And then you guys, we got Red Day coming up. We have not decided what our Red Day project is. So if you guys have suggestions as to what to do for Red Day, we would love to hear your suggestions. If you don't know what Red Day is, guys, we shut down our Keller Williams office and we go out and serve our community. So if you know someone who would benefit from our service this year on May 14th, please let me know ASAP, because we want to reach out to them and see how we can serve. We all come in, we have our Red Day shirts on, and we go out and we serve our community. And last year we served Amelia. We did a great project where we built her a play set in the backyard of her grandparents' house. Amelia suffered from leukemia, and she was undergoing chemo treatments. And so we partnered with the Rock Solid Foundation. It was a great, great experience. I think one of the best ones that I've ever participated in. I've been with Keller Williams for 15 years. I've done it almost every year. I think I've only missed twice. And so I've planted trees. We've done convalescent home visits. I've done that several times. We've helped the women's and children's battered shelters. We've done things with group homes. We've done some big projects. So just if you've got ideas, please let us know. We'd love, love, love to have those ideas. All right, let's get to our industry news. So we got a little bit of good news. The strong jobs report. We had a strong jobs report, which is a small win for the housing market. We produced 178,000 jobs in March. And so really that obviously helps us because we are seeing inflation go up. But if unemployment goes down, right, that is a very, very good sign. And so really what we're just looking at is all the factors that go into our economic report, right? And you guys know two of the factors that go into that report is inflation and the jobs reports. Those are the two big factors in what goes into the housing market update. And so our jobs report was really strong in March. However, they are looking at the fact that April, I guess, and again, I don't know how they like where all the data comes from and everything, but they were saying that as a part of looking at April forecast, it doesn't look as strong. So although March looked strong, it's a small win because they're anticipating that April is not going to be as strong. And so again, you just keep an eye on these things, right? You're just keeping an eye on these things so that as things unfold, we don't like to be surprised, right? We don't want to be surprised. We want to be the ones that are like, okay, we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, right? That's why we do the weekly market update so that you guys aren't surprised. You're seeing what's happening in the markets. You're seeing that we're lagging behind last year. So when people say, oh, the market is slower, that's not a surprise to you, right? You're like, yeah, I know the market is a little bit slower, but it's not drastically slower, right? We are slower, but only by about 3 to 5%, depending on the county that you're in, right? So you guys, just like Santiago was saying about what the news should be talking about, this is what you should be talking about because you guys know what the real story is, right? And then older empty nesters still own about 1 in 4 large homes. And so really the only thing that I wanted to bring to you guys about this is that there's two basic stories in this story is that the older folks, right, have grown kids living in their homes, and they own about 28% of the nation's large homes, while millennial parents, right, the younger parents, own about 16% of the large homes. However, they're the ones with the families, the kiddos who actually need to go into a larger home. Okay, large home being like your 4 bedroom homes. And however, what is stopping them? And I know you guys know this. So what's stopping our millennials from owning homes right now, for owning the larger homes right now? You guys know this.
Student loan?
That's true. But what is student loans? It equate to debt, right? Student loans are debt. But
Yes.
what's really holding them back though?
Lack of information?
That's a good answer. Lack of information. But what is the big issue with the housing market in California?
It's expensive.
Thank you, Santiago. Affordability, right? Affordability is like our tagline around here, right? Affordability is our issue. Okay. So in California, affordability and lack of inventory, depending on the area that you're in. All right. So millennials are being plagued by affordability because, and like Marjorie alluded to, they've got student loans, right? Because they just got out of college. They got these good jobs, but they just got out of college. They've got these growing families. And so it's expensive. All right. And so really we have got to look at solutions. Now more than ever, we've got to be solution oriented and helping our millennials with their buying needs. I was just talking with one of my nephews over the weekend. And we were talking about like, okay, if you can't afford a single family residence, let's talk condo. Right? Do you guys know that there are 3 bedroom condos out there and 3 bedroom townhomes out there? So you don't have to be in a single family residence. You can absolutely be in a 3 bedroom condo or townhome if you can't afford the single family residence, right? So we've got to start helping them to change their mind about where their first home is, right? Because everybody wants that first home to be that dream home, and that's not a reality. You are living in la la land. Most of us cannot afford our dream home right out the gate, right? So we really got to help them, especially if they intend to buy in California. You got to start now, okay? All right, guys. So that is it for our weekly market update. Any questions before I let you go? We good? See what I think I have in the chat. Maybe something for mental health and autism. Oh, okay. That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Santiago. If you have any specifics on that, let me know. Mental health and autism, I'm writing that down. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful week, and I'm looking forward to seeing all your faces here in the market center. All right, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye.